No, you don't know now, nigga. So, bitch, you don't know now, nigga.
Welcome back to an all-new episode of the Ratedmapodcast. I am Tavarus.
I'm Dabrian.
And I'm Blake.
And before we get started, make sure you guys go ahead and drop down in the description box. Hit the subscribe button on Ratedmapodcast on YouTube, iTunes, Facebook, and what else? iTunes. I said that already?
Instagram.
Instagram, yeah, Ratedmapodcast. So, today's guest is a young lady that I met 2 weeks ago at brunch via a mutual friend. And we hit it off, and, you know, we got to talking about niggas and dating and shit. And she had great energy, and I wanted to have her on because I was interested in talking to a black woman about their perspective with dating and about gay men and everything else. Mm-hmm. So today we have Micah on the show.
Yay! Hey, Micah!
Welcome, Micah.
Oh, my boy.
Tell the people about yourself a little bit.
A little bit about myself. I just moved here from Oakland. I'm not sure about it yet. I'm still trying to.
How long has it been now?
11 months. And I'm still like, I don't know.
I think it'd take a good 2.5, 3 years to kind of.
People keep telling me that.
Yeah.
My dad's like, it hasn't even been a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. So, just moved here, still trying to acclimate. Don't love it, don't hate it.
Right.
I work in fashion.
She works in fashion. She runs a showroom.
I run a fashion showroom, so I.
And she's beautiful, by the way.
Okay.
So pretty.
So fucking pretty.
Gay boys give the best compliments.
We're only honest.
Now, what's interesting about Micah, which I really thought would make her good for the show, she likes men and women, but she doesn't identify with bisexual.
No.
Ew.
Oh,
But
that's
you identify
interesting.
with.
Before we,
Micah.
I agree with that. That's
Micah,
it.
but before we get into all of that, we like to play
Jesus.
a game with our guest called Dig in My Sack.
Oh my
And
God.
I have the fucking sack right there.
Yeah, before we get off in your business.
Oh Lord.
You have to pull out
Four
four
questions.
questions.
Okay.
And
Yes.
then read it out loud and then answer it.
Okay. I can do that. I can do
Yes.
that. Number one, it says, when was the last time someone made you squirt? Never.
Never.
You've never squirted?
Never.
Have you ever made someone squirt?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, come on, guys. How often do you make them squirt?
I haven't been with a woman in quite some time. But my
What's
last...
quite some time?
Next question, ho.
Bitch, I gotta give me
We can come back to that. Quite some time is quite some time. We can come back to that. I will answer specifically. I don't have a problem with that. It's been longer than that. It's been a couple years.
Oh, quite some time.
3 or 4. Yeah. Do you have any gay male friends that you would take down if they were with the one night? Oh God.
What's the one night? Tavarus be ready.
I don't have one gay friend that I would take down on the just because
No.
No?
it's not that I don't find my gay male friends attractive. I do. I think they're handsome, but at the end of the day, their mannerisms and my mannerisms and how we get down, especially because I can be
Aggressive?
a little more aggressive. It just doesn't always work. What am I gonna do? Top or bottom? What the fuck?
Oh.
I do not like that shit. That's all the time. You
Okay.
say top bottom. Duh.
But how? With what? Like,
So what I got from
mean?
that is your friends, all your gay friends are bottoms.
No, but it just
too.
wouldn't. It just feels like it wouldn't mesh or vibe. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Okay. Based off of your last sexual experience, what would you cook for that person?
Is it a Lunchables type deal or a full meal?
It would be like a 7-course.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right.
Here in LA?
Yes.
Ooh, that nigga still single?
No.
And the gag is he wasn't single to begin with.
Oh. You sound like Blake.
Well.
She is.
Question number 4: who eats pussy better, men or women? In my experience,
Oh, good question.
That's a good question.
that's a great question. In my experience, because I'm a very, I like to eat pussy. I don't necessarily like my pussy
Yes,
eaten.
I never heard that.
Okay.
I don't necessarily have to
Tap
have
me
my
in.
pussy.
Tap me out. I'm gone.
Okay.
I'm done.
So
Hey.
in my experiences, no woman has eaten me out as well as one particular guy.
Yes,
But
I like that. Come on, man.
I prefer to eat pussy, so I don't really let women
That's
eat pussy.
different because most women
Get away from
who
me.
dabble with women always say, I let that bitch eat me, but I don't eat no pussy. So have you ever came across some bad pussy?
No, because if I get a bad vibe off of your personality, I won't even go near the pussy.
But somebody told me coochie tastes like house keys.
Coochie tastes
that's
like house
only-
keys.
It smell like house keys.
That's only when she's
The
fresh
fuck?
off of her menstrual, because blood tastes like it's a whole nother. That's
Oh, like metal or
that's
something.
the conversation gay boys don't want to have.
I
I
don't
want to
have
have
it.
it.
I've been there. I've tasted.
I've
pussy
eaten
before.
pussy too.
It's it can,
Have you?
Yeah.
What does it taste like?
Salt meat.
and that's because she eats pork because
No, like
the diet.
it wasn't like bad salt meat. It wasn't like hard salt. It was just like salt meat. It was
No.
it shouldn't be salty.
Mine, like what
Period.
you said. Mine tastes like metal.
it
Mine
was
tastes
flaming
like.
wet.
You were too close to the end of the.
So
Yeah.
at what
Oh,
point
you
does it
gotta
taste
eat
good?
pussy at the right time.
Well, first of all, no woman should allow their pussy to be eaten a day
window.
or two after.
A day or two after the
The
menstrual.
vagina cleans itself. So after the menstruation process, you got to give it a chance to clean itself out so there's no remnants of blood, for lack of a better
So
word.
you don't believe in running red lights?
No, hell no.
If you can walk through mud, you can fuck through blood.
No.
Hold up. So
Somebody told me.
Okay,
hold
so
on.
here's the thing about
Okay.
that. Me personally, having sex on my period is not. It doesn't
not
feel
comfortable.
good. It
But
doesn't
Are
feel
you
good.
super horny on your period or after?
Usually right before.
Right before
Not
it comes
during.
on.
Right before it comes on.
That's when you're ovulating, right?
That's when I'm ovulating.
Okay.
After, it depends on what's happening in my life. If there's somebody around that I was like trying to get to before it came on, and then I was able to wait through that
Yeah.
week, then I'm like, yes! On Flow has left the building.
Have you ever had sex during your period?
Once, and it was terrible.
Was that with a man or a
couldn't-
woman?
It was with a man, and I
Okay.
just couldn't get through. It didn't go too far. Just it's
So hold
very
on.
uncomfortable.
So describe
uncomfortable.
what a period feels like. Like, what is it? It's painful because I know women who be curled
So
up.
a woman's ovaries are tantamount to a man's balls. They just dropped out.
Okay.
So imagine if your balls are crampy. You ever had a stomach cramp because you got to take a massive shit?
Yeah.
You ate some dairy and you wasn't supposed
Or
to.
get kicked in your balls or something.
Or get kicked, or somebody accidentally
Yeah.
jab you, and it's
the
that,
balls go
and
up?
it's
I hate that.
it's a tightening. It's a cramp. It's
Oh my
like
God.
it's like when you get a Charlie horse, but in your balls.
okay.
That sounds horrible.
It's horrible.
Sheesh.
So describe to me, when was the first time you ever like felt attraction to a woman?
6th, 7th grade.
Oh really?
My
So
first crush.
the first time that you ever like went there with a woman, tell me about that.
Ooh, that was much later.
Like, did you have to school her or did she school you? Like,
So the first time I ever had a crush on a girl was probably like 6th or 7th grade. She knows this too because we talk about it all the time still to this day. It's not even that I realized at the time that I had a crush on her. I just liked her.
Okay.
And I don't know why I liked her so much. I thought she was so pretty and she was on the basketball team and I just wanted to be around her all the time. And then later in our friendship, we were able to talk about it and kind of dissect it. But I just really liked her.
right.
And her energy was probably a little bit more androgynous.
Okay. Or tomboyish kind of.
So that kind of drew me to her, especially being a little tomboyish myself at times.
Okay.
Because you're just trying to figure her out.
So she ended up being the first one that you did something with.
No, because she wouldn't.
Oh.
She didn't want to mess up our friendship, so she
Oh,
wouldn't.
that's sweet.
She still won't, which
Well,
irritates
what about
me.
the bitch you took down?
She took me down.
Oh, okay.
She took me down. My first girlfriend, I guess we could say it was Courtney. So
Yes, government.
I was in college. I went to college in the Midwest. That's a whole nother story. But I was in a fairly abusive relationship with a young man. And summer break, I went home and I met this young lady who was a mutual friend of mine, a friend who happens to be a lesbian.
Okay.
And so we met and we just kind of hit each other off. And this guy that I was dealing with in the Midwest was calling me and stressing me out over summer break. And she was like, how about you don't talk to him and talk to me? I was like, okay.
Oh.
So, she kind of helped me.
So she swooped in when you were vulnerable, kind
basically.
of thing.
Okay, got
You feel like she took advantage of you, or you was with it? Like
You was just waiting.
No, I don't feel like she took advantage because she kind of let me come to her.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You know, she was there and available for me, but she let me come to her. It wasn't like
So what is it
I'm gonna
about
eat your pussy, girl.
a woman that makes you like moist? Like, what do you first notice in a woman?
her mannerisms and how she treats other people. Definitely, I'm attracted more so to women who are a little more androgynous.
Okay.
Especially because even though I'm small and adorable,
Like a little pit bull.
And you are.
thank you.
People in the skirt.
I don't necessarily look as androgynous as I behave. So someone who looks more androgynous,
You have a very sensitive energy.
extremely. I'm an Aquarius. That's what
You're an Aquarius?
I'm an
You're a
Aquarius.
very
Water
air
bearer.
Sign.
I'm a
Pisces.
It's an air sign.
You're a Cancer.
Aquarius is an air sign. We
Oh,
are water
sorry.
bearer. No, that's
Yeah.
okay. We carry emotions.
Okay,
and
Yeah, I get like you exude emotion from it. For me,
I get that a lot.
Yeah.
So what did it feel like when you first got your pussy ate?
It felt
Now y'all figured it out.
you asking me, you asking her. The first time I had mine ate, I was climbing the walls.
the first time I had my pussy ate was by a guy, and I just didn't like it. I just felt like this
Really?
is
Too much cheek?
because I am. My ex-girlfriend calls me Niagara.
Oh.
Exactly.
Oh.
So it was just really
My
kind of
current niggas call me Niagara.
yeah, it was just kind of, and I was young in the game, so my initial reaction was, "This is slimy, and I don't like it. Move,
Oh, yeah.
move! I don't like it."
Yeah.
because that person didn't know how to deal with
Yeah.
all of the moistures, and
Okay.
it just was like no. And so then the second time, it was a young lady, and it was a totally different experience. I was apprehensive because I almost didn't want it to happen just because of my first experience. I was just like, this is not for me, girl.
Right.
You do not have to do this.
Yeah.
Let me do it. And
How'd you learn to eat pussy?
Yes.
because I have one.
Oh.
Exactly.
Literally,
And
I
no,
There it is.
literally,
that's biblical. That's the word.
That is the word.
That's in the beginning. There was the word.
and
That
the
was the
word was
word.
God, and the word was with
No.
God. Like,
Yeah, Jesus.
I just didn't. It's not like I had a lesson or anything. I
Yeah.
just
You knew what was going
I
on.
just knew, and because I had that slimy experience,
Yeah.
I knew I don't want it to be like
Right.
this.
So,
I don't
I have a
slime.
question.
Anything, yes.
Because I've done it before. Because I feel like I was doing it wrong.
Okay.
I thought I was too.
So where are you supposed to be licking? Because when I was doing it, I was like in like the flaps, like the lips.
The lips.
Like I was all
Most
around
women
there.
are not going to feel a whole lot of pleasure just from the outside.
I would
got a tongue
I would
fuck.
go. I would go down. I would go deep.
It's
Like,
You
I
gotta
would
go
still,
straight to the clit,
but to be honest,
I was-
you
even
got a tongue fuck,
a tongue is not going to get to her G spot.
Okay.
Which even men.
So
have
where
G
should you
spots.
concentrate?
The clitoris. If you're eating pussy, the clitoris,
And that is where.
the little button on top.
Have you seen one?
So there's the lips. And
I've had
little,
sex with girls, but I don't know.
there's a
where-
little button
what
on
it is.
top.
That
I know the
lips.
button. Yeah, I know the
The
button.
Yeah,
lips.
the
You just want to figure eight that button.
But the button is covered up, so you got to raise the hood somehow.
It'll.
No,
To be
girls.
honest, if
Not all
a
the
girl
time,
is
though.
aroused, that button
It
is
come out.
already
It's erect,
already.
right? It's like a mini
It's
penis.
for the exactly. For example, as a man, when somebody is in your ear or on your neck, you get a little chub.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. We get a little
I
chub.
got it. Come on now, Jesus.
Do most women need to be worked up to?
After 30, I sure fucking do.
Oh.
Listen, I need you to warm me up.
Baby girl,
I need you to warm me
get in
up.
the car and start it up.
You know what I mean?
And let that shit run for a few minutes.
Here's the thing. If I'm cold, you can't just expect
Right.
for me to go from cold to hot. Even when you run water, the water gotta go
Right.
from cold to warm
Yeah,
to
let that
hot.
shit warm up.
It takes a second. So yeah, especially
me.
after 30, I need a.
You just touched my hand and it's what's up?
So in dealing with women, still after 30,
That nigga lying. That dick is weak.
hold up. So
Their dick is shy.
in dealing with women,
Yes.
what's annoying about women?
Everything.
Oh, I want to know.
Everything. The same things that are annoying about men.
No.
People think that, especially women, young women think that they have a bad situation with a guy or they deal with a young man and they don't like it. Oh, I'm going to be gay or I'm going to deal with women now. It's not. It's just a different set of problems.
Jack going on. What you know on Jack in the
And reset.
Okay.
It's just a different set of problems. I think the issues that people experience when they date men are similar in some ways to issues that you will encounter when you date women. People are people. And I think it just depends on the person that you're dealing with. Are they a good or bad communicator? It doesn't matter if you're a male or a female. Are you a good or bad communicator?
Say that.
Are you interesting and working towards something of your own? Doesn't matter if you're male or female. Are you good with words and conversation? Can you express your thoughts and feelings? It almost doesn't matter if you're a male or female. What kind of person are you? So in general, in my experiences, to be honest, that's why I don't identify with bisexual, because I think people who are bisexual are like, oh my god, I can't decide, it's so 50-50. Oh my god. I don't feel that way. For me personally, I have no problem choosing the D over the V.
So you just choose to play with women here and there, but you want to be with a man eventually.
More than likely.
So what is it about a man that turns you on? What do you see first?
The D.
What do you see first, bitch?
The first thing I look at when I'm dealing with a man is his hands.
Yes, me too.
If his nails are dirty. Because if your nails are dirty, why are you trying to touch on me?
I look at hands too right away.
Yeah.
I
got
peed.
slave hands.
I already peed. But your nails are clean and they're short and listen.
Tavarus does have slave hands.
Abuse, no.
She ain't never hopped this one.
Never.
So for me, that's the first hygiene issue that I look at is are your nails clean? Because I think a lot of men, especially straight men, it's like, what do you be doing every day, all day? Why are your nails like dirty? And if they stay dirty, then they need to be clipped.
Long.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Do you like guys who manscape?
Oh, that's a good question.
To a point, yes.
Just trim it a little now.
Yeah, I think personal hygiene is kind of something that should run across the board. Gay, straight, orange, purple, green, yellow.
Should he shave his booty?
No.
If he wants something to go in there.
Oh,
Sure. Oh, so the answer is no.
Sure. I am
You
not.
eat ass?
No.
Oh.
Why? What? For you, I don't need to eat groceries. Oh, for what? Why?
What if he asked you to do it? Would you do it?
I'd consider it.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
I'd consider it. Yeah.
So would you ever date a bisexual man?
I have.
Oh, yeah. How did that work? I mean, not how did it work
I
out.
feel like that would work.
I got cheated on with a guy.
These niggas on
Oh.
Dang.
So, and my initial reaction to him was like, okay, well, as a friend, how do I approach this? Because we were friends first. And this situation kind of escalated from a friendship randomly because it was not anything either one of us was gunning for or looking for in terms of, because at the time he was much more interested in men, which was fine. And I was also much more interested in men, which was fine. And it just happened to kind of be like, well, maybe we should try this. And it just...
So you would never do that again?
I would consider it. Have to be the right person.
Would you ever have a threesome with two
That was
men
my question.
that are into each other?
No. Why?
I don't know.
Would you ever have a threesome with a woman and a man?
Have.
Well, that's basic.
A woman and a man.
Is it though?
Woman and a man, two men. I don't know why that's called a train, but been there, done that, rode the ride.
What's the train? The
Train is when it's two niggas.
When it's two men.
Oh yeah. You did two men.
I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I don't know
Oh,
the
that
problem.
sounds like fun.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I feel like I ran the train, but whatever.
Hey.
I mean, who doesn't like two dicks?
I don't know.
So as a...
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, one dick is great, two is even
Better?
greater. I mean, I don't
Exactly.
know. Like, shit.
So you would consider yourself to be an aggressive female?
Circumstantially.
Like, do you find that you attract a more feminine energy with men because you are aggressive?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because she got me coming out my
Tell
blouse.
me.
I don't know.
Well, because, you and I met 2 weeks ago. I was in
And
a
he's
situation
feminine.
where I was in a room full of handsome black gay men. And the energies that I felt like I was attracting the most were the ones who, I don't want to say more feminine, because I think that's a very silly way to look at masculinity in terms of a feminine man, or I just think that's kind of retarded.
But for lack of a better term,
for lack of a better term, I would say that the energies that I was attracting the most in that circle were the ones that were a little more feminine, just because what I was saying and the points that I was making seemed to resonate more.
Okay. But it's also different when you trying to turn the charm on for a man, so you might be a little
100%
more submissive.
But it depends on a man's energy. If a man got big dick energy, then I'm a little teeny tiny bunny and I'm adorable. But if you got medium energy, then I'll steamroll you.
But you're not even interested if it's medium energy. You'll be just like, I might fuck
with my energy. I just don't feel like it'll go.
Yeah.
I mean, we can hang out, but what are we gonna really do?
True.
Nothing.
What did your mom teach you about men and relationships, or what did she tell you about love?
My mom.
Or about being a woman?
My mom is a very interesting woman in that she was raised. She's not from this country. She was born in Panama. My grandfather got his citizenship by joining the army, so she was an army brat, basically. Sure. So as a mother, she was very tight, and I don't want to say militant, but for lack of a better term, she was very particular. Like I remember, for example, the first time she realized that I was shaving my legs, it had to be like 7th or 8th grade, and she was just like, why are you shaving your legs, for what?
Really?
It just there were certain things from my mother that I didn't learn, like how to put makeup on. I didn't watch, some girls have that dream girls conversation, like, oh, I used to watch my mom put on her makeup in the mirror, and she used to let me play in her makeup. No, there was none of that. My dad was much more of the one who was like, baby, men will do this, this, and this to get this, this, and this.
Why is it that like when women are dating men, the men are allowed to look a mess, but women are expected to keep it together? Guys are allowed to be sloppy and be fat, and women still like them.
I don't know if they're allowed to be, but I think a lot of women get to a point where they're willing to settle for certain things being...
If it's a trade-off, like if he got money or something. Or,
he has a great personality, or he is a decent communicator, I can deal with the fact that he don't dress, because I can dress him when we go out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think women in general dress for women. So when it comes for guys dress for themselves. Comfort.
Right. Yeah.
I think that depends, too, because I think a lot of gay guys dress for guys.
True, but at the same time... You're not going to put something on that you're totally uncomfortable with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For the most part, the gays dress for the gays?
I think the fashion gays.
Exactly what she said.
Yeah, I think there's like different types, but I think the fashionable gays dress.
Some people dress for compliments, and some people dress for
attention
to get a nigga.
True. But if you're comfortable, then you'll be confident, then you'll attract someone.
No,
right?
Not always.
No,
not always.
Well, yeah, I guess. Do you think that men like to date women they can control?
Oh,
I think some men do. I think some men do.
Do you think women like to date women that
I think some women do. I think I think that comes down. I think that comes down to a person's mindset and their own personal mental issues and illnesses.
As a child.
Exactly, how they were raised and how that they and at the end of the day, to a certain extent, after 30, I don't give a shit how you were raised.
Yeah.
Have you?
Really?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, have you figured it out for yourself? Have you learned? Have you come?
Right.
And everybody has it. Everybody has
I can't put that on them.
Don't get me wrong, we're all a product of our environment and our situation. However...
And then some of us have done the work, and then some of us have not.
Exactly.
And I can't be mad at you because you haven't realized that you need to do the work.
Exactly. Everybody has a right to be who they are, where they are. I just ain't got to be over there with you.
Yeah, you're right. I can love you from afar.
Long handle spoon, like my grandmama say.
Jesus.
What do you think
good gumbo.
are black women's real thoughts on gay men? Gay black.
Oh, no, I want to hear this.
Or have you heard certain conversations from black women?
My relationship with black women, by and large, is a little different than most young black women. Partly because, like I said, my mother is from another country, so all of her family speaks another language. They're black, but they all speak Spanish. So that's a different mindset when they don't come from this country and they have other things that occupy their space and their you know,
Right.
when you come from a third world country, you have third world problems in your mind.
Right, real problem.
And this shit is bogus.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On my dad's side of the family, my dad is indigenous and African American. My grandmother grew up on a reservation. So women in her family were very strong, very dominant, very particular. They kind of run the household. The quote unquote medicine man on my grandmother's reservation is a woman. And so I think black women by and large don't necessarily have problems with gay men, especially black gay men. I think some of the most racist and sexist people on the planet are white gay men. I don't really fuck with none of them. But I think black gay men can potentially be a great asset for black women, gay, straight, non-binary, but all the things. There's so many letters and acronyms.
It's a lot.
I can't fucking keep up.
And then if you don't get it right,
I don't give a shit about getting it right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
God!
I don't give a shit about getting it right. I don't really care.
I don't even try because I know I ain't gonna get it right.
I don't give a fuck either.
Because here's my thing. I don't really
Square
care what you do behind closed doors.
None of my business.
I don't really give a shit what kind of person are you.
True.
You know what I mean? If you're a decent person and we can have a conversation about life and love and the pursuit of happiness and the American dream, then we're good to go. But if you're a fucktard, it really doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, orange, purple, green. You're just a fucktard. It's just a fucktard.
That part.
You know what I mean?
Are you the type of woman that can like have sex with no strings attached, or are you like always trying to make it something?
It depends on the situation. I just feel like it can be a gateway to opening yourself up to bullshit and drama that you don't have to. Like, a sex should be, I don't want to call it a prize because of this
No, I
thing,
agree.
but
I'm
it should
with
be.
you.
It
Pussy
should
is a
be.
prize.
It should be
Yeah,
something
that's why I'm not having
that it
sex.
should be something that is gained over time. Like
But
just
that's what
just to have sex, the act of sex is really fucking boring.
Yeah.
It's the the feeling that you can get with a person. It's
That comes with maturity, though.
again, and
But has that been since you turned 30, or just even prior
That's
to
what
that?
it was
Pretty well,
before 30, but I think it really started to make more sense for me more recently.
Okay.
And most especially now that I've moved to Los Angeles. For example, before we started, we were talking about how, you asked me the question, would I cook a meal for a man? And there's a particular man. Now, mind you, I just moved here, so I don't have no prospects.
Yeah.
But there is a particular, I can't even call him young because he's 40.
What's the man?
He moved here
40?
2 years ago before I got here. And so when I got here, we kind of linked up and everything was good.
Oh, he's
and
from the band. You already knew him?
Yes.
Okay.
And we linked up and everything was cool. And then I got ghosted
Oh.
randomly.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like all this good sex.
Oh, so you don't even talk to him no more?
Where you at?
Oh my God.
I don't know. What do you want?
Damn.
So, and here's the thing. I don't give a fuck.
So how long has it been since you've had sex?
It's been a couple months. Only because I had a really good cuddy buddy from home come and visit. He was working and he came to visit, so of course we had a good time. But in general, I would say if he hadn't come, it would be like 3 months.
Oh, okay. So in my experience, when I talk to most women, they say as teenagers their parents like get them on birth control and stuff. Like, do you think most women don't use condoms at all?
No. It's hard to speak for most women.
The girls that you know as your friends, like
Girls that I know are my friends. I can't be friends with you if you're not on your sexual health game. Girl, because most of my friends are 30 plus. So, girl, you just out here raw dogging niggas?
I feel like bitches just be fucking.
No. So I can only speak for myself. I'm very, very particular about my sexual health. Mostly because the abusive relationship that I was in caused problems where I felt like I needed to worry about my sexual health. For lack of a better way to put it.
Okay.
So that situation made me very aware, particular, and I am constantly checking on it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What would you say is like the average number? We always talk about how many guys. For most women your age who are 30 plus, how many partners do you think most of them might have? Because I don't know what's considered a lot to...
4 to 10.
4 to 10?
4 to 10 will admit 4 to 5.
4 to 10 women will admit that they've had 4 to 5 men.
Yep.
As a 30-year-old
But how many have
woman?
they really had?
10, at least.
I feel
That's
like it will be a
low.
little higher. No.
It might be.
Cause y'all hoes.
It might be, but I just feel like if I average everybody, because I have friends who don't have no sex and they're just very like only if I have a boyfriend. And
They
then
say that now.
And then I
Women
What about they
no.
college days?
Okay, for example, I have a very good friend who is 35.
Okay.
She's only had 2 boyfriends in her life, and she's only had sex with those 2 boyfriends.
Wow.
45?
She's
not
35.
Oh, 35.
She's 35. Now, mind you, she just got out of a 6-year relationship, so now she's trying to like sow her royal oats.
Oh, now she won't cut up.
Now she
And she
wanna cut
should.
up.
She could have cut up at 25.
Whatever. I personally, I was raised a PK. I didn't lose my virginity until right before I left for college.
16.
I was going on 18. I was almost 18. And I just, and then I got to college. I had a relationship with somebody. It was abusive in a lot of ways. And after that, I was kind of like, ugh. Good on all y'all motherfuckers.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then women. And then going back to men, it was kind of a slow go. And now my perspective is so that I don't really always want to have sex. Like, because sex can be overrated.
Right. But I have a homegirl.
I don't like
She's
sex.
33 and she's had like 20 guys.
Oh.
And but I don't think that's a lot. She was asking me if I thought that was a lot. and
It's
I was
not.
like,
I don't think it's a lot.
It's
You
really
think-
not.
for a grown
Yeah.
woman.
It's
I don't
really
think it's a
not.
lot, especially in today's day and age, because we're all so tuned in and being like with social media and the
Agreed.
internet and everything. It's so like sex is so much more accessible than back in the day.
Agreed.
Right.
So I just feel like internet made the world smaller.
Used to be a man had to get married to have sex. Had to get married.
Child.
So
When did
now-
when did we make it so taboo to have sex? Like,
I think
fuck
it's-
it. Let's
I think-
just
I
have
feel like
sex.
sex has always been taboo.
I think it's
Like, let's
always
just
been
have
taboo.
sex.
I think it's always been taboo. I think America.
Why not?
I think the United States is also very weird about sex because of our history with sex, and I think a lot of that comes from the history that this country has with slavery and sex.
Oh yeah.
So I think
Because
sex
other countries are more free. They be naked on the weather
on
channel.
TV,
But in knowing
in the
that
middle
and
of the
being
day.
educated about it,
Right.
Why let that preclude you from having sex?
And I think
why let that hold you back?
I think especially in the black community it has a lot to do with black church.
We're sexual beings.
For whatever
Be free.
reason, that
Y'all listen, I'm gonna
fuck. He's in a mood tonight, y'all.
I want to fuck. Fuck
I
that.
just
Baby,
think-
she throwing this hot cat around. She is drunk.
Bitch. Not even
Officer
drunk
Coca-Cola.
yet. Not even drunk yet, but however.
When I get there. No, I just think our society has forced us into boxes and forced us to look at each other through the box's lens.
Yeah.
That's a gay person,
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
do this, that,
All
and
of
the
that,
third.
all of that.
That's a straight person. That's a
So they
black
do this,
person,
so they
white
do
Do you
person.
think those will still change and we can't be free?
I think they will change. I think they have changed. Even our parents, the baby boomers, their thought processes, because their children are gay and their
Yeah.
children are
Yeah.
trying new things, their children are
Right.
dating outside of their race, they're having to confront
Yep.
some of the things that they dealt with as children, teenagers, young adults in a totally different era.
And in turn evolve.
And in turn evolve.
Yeah.
Now, evolution, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
Yep.
Hard as fuck.
And it goes back to your point where you said that we still put people in boxes. So even though
my
we're
God, yes.
evolving, we're still okay, well you're gay and I'm cool with that now, but this is what you do as a gay person.
You're over here.
Yeah. You do this all the
Yes.
time. That's
For
what y'all
example,
do.
you were asking me if I had been with a bisexual male or if I would be with a bisexual male again. And I think, of course, because of how I was raised, my first goggles that go on are bisexual, he's going to have sex with men. I don't know if I want to even deal with that. Just
Right.
because of all of the things that have gone on in the past that have to do with homosexuality.
Right.
Right? But as a modern woman, as an intellectual, as the most unprotected, disrespected person on the planet, a black woman.
Yeah. We can talk about that.
We can absolutely.
That's another day.
That's a whole nother day. We can absolutely talk about that. But as the least respected person on the planet, I have a duty and a responsibility to take off those original goggles that I was born with or handed when I was young, and put on a new set and say, okay, this is how I'm choosing to look at the world.
Right.
This is how I'm choosing to look at people, and this is how I'm choosing to deal with them. And it's not always perfect because, again, you know, I consider myself a thoroughly modern Millie, but I also have still been raised in a certain box, and a lot of those issues that come with that box are ingrained in me just naturally. There's nothing I can do about that, and fighting against them doesn't necessarily make any sense. However, it's important that I recognize the box that I was born into and do what I can to make sure that that box doesn't define me as a person and doesn't let me box other people in, because that's not fair.
I got you. Okay, 2 scenarios for you. You're dating a man and the vibe is very good. Months go by and energy is still good. You feel as though he's the one and cut ties with all of your side pieces.
Oh, God.
So one day he shows up at your house with a 5-year-old child that you never knew existed. Surprised, you ask, why didn't you tell me you had a kid? And he responds, you never asked. Furthermore, he's the youngest of 3. So
I don't do kids.
No?
First and foremost, I don't do kids. And it's not even that I don't. I used to never want to date men with kids because I felt like, well, I ain't got no kids. I ain't nobody's baby mama. I ain't got that baggage. I shouldn't have to deal with that baggage. People with kids should only be allowed to date people with kids, and that's fine. But as I've gotten older, now I'm at a point, I'm over 30. I still don't necessarily want to have kids. So now I'm like, okay, if I date a man who has kids, he won't be looking at my ass for none.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't know if I necessarily want to be a mother. I have motherly instincts. I have 2 nieces and 2 nephews who I love very dearly. And I would take a bullet for them. But at the end of the day, like my niece, we got into it. She said a curse word. I told her not to.
How old is she?
Now she's almost 15.
Oh, yeah.
But she was like 9 at the time. And she tried to get smart with me and roll her neck. And I was like, listen, we just gonna have a talk.
Yeah.
I love you. I do not love you as much as your mama do. So I will leave you right here because you're not finna embarrass me. Yeah, and I feel like that largely across the board about kids. So I don't know if I need to have my own.
Right. No. But most guys start having kids like at 19, 20.
Totally. And that's fine.
The picking's gonna be slim if
it's not even just guys. A lot of girls. Well, my grandmother had my dad when she was 16 with a bullet. And it wasn't even popular back then. Back then it was like, oh, y'all gonna have a shotgun wedding then. So it wasn't even a thing. Now, all my friends who have kids had their kids on the younger side of things. If I have a kid now, I'm gonna be an old mom. At this point, if I don't have a kid in the next 2 or 3 years, the jig is up. And I don't even know if I want that. So to have a man present a child after some time and didn't tell me because I quote unquote didn't ask. Nah, bruh.
Yeah.
You being sneaky. I need to know that up front because
do you think that's something people should ask or they should volunteer?
I always ask. That's one of my first questions. Oh, you see me on the street and you think I'm cute? How many kids you got? How many baby mamas? That's one of the first questions I ask. You know why I ask that question?
Do we care?
Yes, because you know why?
I do.
When someone has children with multiple people, that speaks to a lack of commitment and self-control.
I would say that only if it's more than 2.
Yeah, come on. I was thinking about him too.
Always.
Niggas don't know how to pull out.
He's a great example. He's a great example, but because he has money, and he's not the only one. Nick
but does
Cannon
that make it okay?
One. No.
Right.
No.
I feel like you should have as many kids as you can take care of.
Right.
That's fair.
And I think
however,
if he can take care of a gazillion of them,
that's fair. But if you think about it from a woman's perspective, or even from the child's perspective, from a child's perspective, to grow up with just your mom, you see your dad sporadically, you know you got a gang of siblings, but you don't see them, and it can be very disjointed.
I mean, what if all of those things that you said that are negative are actually
I'm sure they can be positives. I'm just saying it's not necessarily the most quote unquote ideal.
Right.
And I just feel like it can present a very disjointed family dynamic. Don't get me wrong, the family dynamic is changing in terms of it doesn't necessarily have to be a mother and a father and 2 kids and a white picket fence in the home. It can be 2 moms or 2 dads or whatever. But the point is to have support and love on both sides, because as we know, statistically, boy children and girl children need mothers and fathers.
They do.
And to just have one or the other, and to have one or the other be optional. Like, for example, you have... Future, we'll just use him as an example. If you're a man and you have multiple children with multiple women, it's impossible for them to all be with you at all times.
How could the fourth... Because I'm not going to discredit women.
Right.
And think that, like, the fourth baby mother who saw mother 3, mother 2, mother 1... that's what I'm not going to do.
Stupid.
I'm not going to say that that fourth baby mother was stupid.
Stupid.
I can't believe in my heart of hearts that she looked beyond herself and saw what he had with these other women and thought that she was going to be different.
She's looking for a check.
Does she not?
Really?
Was she?
I'm not.
Did she not
I don't
look
think she
towards
was
the
that
future?
surface.
Do you think?
Come on, Future.
Like,
you rapping and rhyming and
okay,
shit.
I am.
No, I don't think that it was that surface level.
I need to know that I'm going to be okay. And if I have a baby to this nigga and this child support that he's going to be paying every month,
Have a baby by me,
I'm
baby,
not
be a
Like other baby
millionaire.
mamas.
Right. But you going to have a baby by a broke nigga, or you going to have one with him?
exactly.
Get his baby.
Somebody,
I give him a
Future
baby.
actually said, "You gonna cry in that Nissan now? Cry in the
The Rolls Royce. And she
I'm
said
gonna cry in the
Rolls Royce.
Rolls."
Exactly.
Which I feel, but at the end of
He's
the
talking
day,
about-
you're still raising a child up mostly alone.
Right.
You have the checks coming in. Yes, there's
I
financial
don't think
support
women are
for the
like
baby.
that superficial.
It's
Absolutely.
not,
Absolutely.
definitely. And again, it's not about women being superficial. It's a person thing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
all women are not that superficial. Listen, I've been in the industry a long time. I've met a lot of famous people, a lot of rappers. Bow Wow was in my office 2 weeks ago. I don't give a flying fruitcake about none of them niggas. They wouldn't get close to me with a long handle spoon just because I know the industry and I know what it's like.
But if all of us can sit at this table and not be that superficial, why do we not give that credence to the other people?
I would actually have a baby with a nigga for a check. If I was
Would you really?
Yes, I would. I'm not going to sacrifice this shake.
Bitch, no, mind you, I saw your wheels turning.
I'm thinking.
Hold up.
On one hand, I'm like Trina. She like, I could have been a baby mother. I don't want to do that. If I'm not married, I'm not
But that's
having a baby.
Trina.
It's fucking
But
alcohol.
I feel like I'm her.
It's going all through me.
But yeah,
You would have a baby for somebody that's not going
if I was a female, I would have a
Just a
9-year-old
check.
right now. Probably
If
3
you was a
abortions.
bad
Come on, 9-year-old?
A 9-year-old, 3 abortions, and then the next one.
I gotta go.
The next one will be.
I gotta go.
And that would be
The
it.
problem is, this is my apartment. But I gotta go. Daybread.
Okay, last scenario. You're engaged to a wonderful human being. He's a great conversationalist. He loves your family. He adores you. He has 2 jobs. He makes 6 figures. Everything is great. But the only issue is he's already married, and he was hoping to recruit you to be a part of the squad.
I'm dealing with that right now, actually.
What? You didn't meet the guy from Love and Hip Hop, did you?
Mind you, Daybread.
Akbar? I'll
Yes.
shit out of Akbar.
Baby girl, I'm gonna ride his dick till the wheels fall off.
I have
Okay.
like I mentioned before, I've been in this business a long time. My older brother is in hip hop, so that's kind of how I got my start in fashion. So I've been in a lot of rooms with a lot of rappers and a whole lot.
Yeah.
So a particular famous rapper, his younger brother, who happens to be his DJ, I'm not naming no motherfucking names, happens to be his DJ.
I can figure it out though.
A couple of years ago, his brother comes out of the blue and tries to woo. And I was just like, I don't feel good, so I don't really want to talk to you, but you can have my number. We started to talk. I noticed that he had a ring on his finger, and I asked him, are you married? And he said, no. But I'm an investigative reporter. So I 100%. So I went to do some investigation, come to find out he got a whole wife, kids, grandkids, and he's not that old, but kids, grandkids, like the whole 9. But because of his religious affiliation, he feels like he can have more than one.
Oh.
I don't give a fuck about your religious affiliation.
Yeah.
Does she know? Or are you just playing games?
Right.
Are you... Because if you're not being honest with her, then woman to woman, I can't.
Yeah.
So being in that situation, you know, niggas get mad when you don't want to commit adultery with them. That shit is so fucking weird.
So if he tells the wife what's up, you cool with it, or?
Not necessarily, but that was my first question. Like,
okay.
You say that you can live this lifestyle because of your religion. Okay, well then she should know if it's something that's allowed.
Yeah. And she probably would be with it too, because she want to stay comfortable.
And maybe she was, but my whole thing was, I don't know if you're telling me the truth or her the truth or us
We
the
need
truth.
to all get in a room and talk.
And to be honest, I really just don't have to. You have a lot of obligations on this side. This is what I require. It doesn't seem like you have enough time to deal with what I require.
Do he have enough money to do that?
Yeah.
Question.
Okay.
Would you be okay in a polygamous relationship?
Yes, I've been in one. I've been in one. I was with my first girlfriend. Actually, she and I were together. But then a really good friend of mine in college, we kind of went through the whole separating from my abusive relationship together. He was one of the few guys who knew the situation, who took my side. Most of the guys took the other party's side in terms of who they felt like they needed to support.
Right.
And so when she came to visit, and then eventually she came to go to school at another school but in the same vicinity, we decided that we were going to all try something because she and him had a great relationship.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't as sexual, but they had a really good relationship to where they would do things together without me. If I was at school or studying or whatever, they would go to the movies, they would hang out, they would smoke together, whatever. So I think polygamous relationships can happen, but in my experience, someone always gets jealous.
Right.
So the lines of communication have to be extreme, like open to the raw, open to the bare bones. Because if you don't have the communication and the trust, then how can three people get along and have separate relationships? Because literally, I had a relationship with him, I had a relationship with her, she had a relationship with me, she had a relationship with him, he had a relationship with her, it was just so. If the lines of communication are not open, somebody is going to feel like they're left out.
Right.
In your ideal polygamous relationship, is it 2 men and 1 woman, or is it 2 women and 1 man?
I don't know if I have an ideal polygamous relationship.
That's honest. I get it.
It really depends on the people and their mindset. And I'm very much so a people person in terms of your mindset. I really don't care if you're gay or straight or black or white or... Well, I kind of care if you're white, but... I kind of... White.
I want to hear Tavarus' point of view.
On polygamy?
Yeah.
I'm not interested.
Fair enough. Sharing is hard. Sharing is hard as fuck.
You can't be in an open relationship?
I don't want to be in an open relationship. I think that's clear. Episodes 1 through 17.
Okay.
But anyway, y'all, on that note, we want to thank Micah for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Micah.
so much
for enlightening us.
Please have me again.
Yes.
I promise.
Yes.
Please have me again. I would love to.
We would love to have you on.
Absolutely.
Make sure y'all go ahead and hit the subscribe button, iTunes and YouTube. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.